you got some rubbish, put it in the bin. But how do we know what bin we should put it in? We've got 4 choices of bins to use. So how do we know what bin we should choose? We've got the green bin to put our veggie scraps in, our green bin to put our leaves and twigs in. If you've got some rubbish, put it in.
Thank you. Who doesn't love the sound of little kids singing in the background? So thank you so much. That song came to us from Eden Hills Kindergarten. So thank you very much for Eden Hills Kindy for that song. Good afternoon. My name is Wendy Bevan, and for the people who've not met me before, I'm the CEO of KESAB. On behalf of myself and of the KESAB team, I'd like to warmly welcome you to these KESAB Awards today, in person and online. Thank you very much. We're thrilled to be able to finally bring these awards to you, and we would like, and we want to know that we really appreciate your presence here and online as well. I'd like to also welcome members of the KESAB board, some of them are online as well, and also to our special guests, Mr. Ian Overton, the Chief Executive of Green Industries. Welcome, Ian. Hamilton Calder, the Chief Executive of Volunteering SA. Welcome, Hamilton. All of our other community groups here, and also to Wayne and Jennifer, who are coming from the Department of Infrastructure and Transport later on. We acknowledge that the land we meet on today is the traditional lands for the Kaurna people, and we deeply respect their relationship to country. We also acknowledge that many of you who are joining us online today are on different traditional lands, and we pay our respects also to the custodians of those lands. We recognise the Kaurna people are custodians of the Adelaide region, and that their cultural and heritage beliefs are important. We hope that we can follow in their footsteps, being careful stewards of the environment for many years to come. As many of you know, that's what KESAB's really about at its core. It's about caring for the environment, for its sake and for our sake. Keeping it beautiful, if you want to go back to the original Keeping South Australia Beautiful of KESAB. Since 1966, KESAB has been working to create sustainable communities through education, action and participation. Today, we are thrilled to celebrate some of these actions as we reflect on the achievements of 3 of our flagship programs. Wipe Out Waste, our schools program, Road Watch, Adopt a Road, our volunteer litter cleanup program, and Sustainable Communities, our regional community awards program, which once upon a time was Tidy Towns. As well as celebrating the KESAB programs, today's event is also about sharing and learning. We're mindful of the time, of course, and we've structured the event into 3 clear sections so that people in here, we hope you stay all day, but online as well, can come and go to meet their own time. We've allowed about an hour for each one, and we hope that this will allow participants the ability to access the most relevant program for them, and we welcome you to stay for the whole presentations. Now, that's the agenda. Housekeeping. We always have to do the housekeeping. So there will be short breaks and there will be afternoon tea. If you're here in person, the bathrooms are located out the doors and to the left. In case of an emergency, after we panic and freak out, we will go outside and the exits are behind you and will be guided by the venue staff to the outside assembly point, which is in the car park. We ask you to stay here and we'll go out there as one group, so don't really panic. In terms of COVID, of course, we need to cover that as well. Thank you all in the room for wearing masks. We will keep them on unless we're consuming or presenting, as I am now. As awful it is, we're trying to avoid handshakes and hugs, although it would be great to do it, and we just try and keep COVID safe. To our wonderful community who are joining us from all over South Australia, and I believe we've got online representations from Mount Gambier, Robe, Kimba, and the Coochie Road Watch group are having a watch party as well, so thank you very much. We know it's not the same as being in the room, but we hope that some of you get to share the experience and enjoy it as well. We're really thrilled to be here. We're thrilled to have finally got together in the room after having to defer these awards last year. Part of it, of course, is the birthday of Roadwatch, and we really wanted to do that last year. I'd like to sincerely thank our program partners, Green Industries SA, the Department for Infrastructure and Transport, and local governments and councils who support KESAB every time that we work with them. Thank you to the schools, the Kindys, and all of the Roadwatch volunteer groups, and everyone who supports KESAB in doing what we've been doing since 1966. I'd also like to thank our supporters in the wider industry, though whose involvement over the years in the delivery of our programs has been exceptional. Thank you must go to IWS, that's the Winfield dump in the song, but it's much more than that. YCA, Electronic Recycling Australia, and it's great to have you here too, Kai, thank you. Sims, Jeffries, Suez, Replas, Statewide Recycling, East Waste, Transmutation, and many more over the years. We cannot thank you enough. Your support to KESAB and its communities is invaluable, and we look forward to working with all of you for many, many years to come. So now, on to the actual awards. I'm going to hand over to Joe Hendricks, who's the WOW, guru here in this room today. Joe has been involved with WOW for many years. Many of you know Joe, and we can absolutely attest to the passion and infectious drive for improvement Joe brings to the program and has for the past 16 years. I'm thrilled to welcome Joe to introduce this program. Thanks, Joe.
Thank you. Thank you, Wendy, and thank you to everyone who's joining us online and in person. It's so exciting. I'd like to welcome you all by saying Namani, a Ghana group welcome, which is kind of a hey, how you going? And hopefully we're all going pretty great, because it's always beautiful to celebrate the great achievements and good work done by the people that are here in the room today and online. So for those of you who aren't aware, Wipeout Waste has been delivered by KESAB with funding from Green Industries, previously Zero Waste SA, since 2006, and it's really rare to have that longevity of funding for initiatives, particularly with education-based things, so it's really important in allowing the development of long-term relationships, which is invaluable. So it's been a real blessing to be able to work on that for such a long time. As many of you know, it's a statewide initiative that supports learning about and reducing waste in a whole-of-site approach. So support is available to sites freely, from preschool to Year 12 for all sectors across SA. And KESAB provides support for them at all stages of their journey. Often we start with an initial bin materials audit or a bin assessment, where we engage with students in some really practical learning and assess the site's generation of different material streams. Don't really like to call it waste. Waste's a verb, not a noun. And then help them with some practices to reduce and recover those resources. So there are now 4 stages in the program, which really help sites to work on progressively improving their systems and behaviours. And in 2021, we developed this into a passport system, which makes it really easy for sites to track and monitor their progress. Over the past 16 years, a few images, some fun ones up the top there, we've really had the privilege of working with more than 1,000 education sites and done over 700 bin materials audits and hosted more than 80 professional development sessions for sites. And that ranges from small sites like Road Primary School, where there's about 100 students and staff, up to sites like Glenunga International High School with about 2,000. They've had a number of audits over the last 15 years. One of the other elements of the program is the Wipeout Waste show, which a lot of sites have seen and which we also do public performances of. So more than 40,000 people have seen that in the last 9 years, and it always gets amazing feedback, so it's a really good way of sharing the messages. Some of the sites that we're acknowledging today have kindly sent in some pre-recorded videos to share their learnings, and we've got some live representatives from sites as well, which is very lovely. We're very pleased, as Wendy said, to have Ian Overton from Green Industries SA with us today, and I'd like to invite him to provide us with an overview of the Green Industries perspective on the program. Thank you, Ian.
Good morning, everyone. No, it's afternoon, isn't it? Good afternoon, everyone. As I was introduced, I'm Ian Overton, Chief Executive of Green Industries SA, and it's really proud to be here today to support KESAB and the Wipe Out Waste program and their support then of the schools and the children in South Australia to make such a difference to the environment. Green Industries SA's role is to drive green innovation across the waste, resource, recycling, environmental and climate action in South Australia. And we've been doing this for many, many years. As it was introduced in 2006, wasn't it, that we've been supporting this program. And we really see that change that occurs through the children and the benefits that we see in schools, but also then the follow-on benefits to our whole attitude, I think, to waste and recycling. We've had the container deposits scheme here in South Australia since 1977. Victoria still hasn't got that scheme. So we're really proud of that in South Australia. It's part of our DNA going forward, and it's really important, I think, that we educate the children today to be that next change makers into the future. So thank you. And it's a really great pleasure for me to hand out the awards.
Well, hopefully we've got enough people that have managed to come. I know there's definitely some in the room. So to explain the awards, this year we've introduced some new categories, and those are innovation for projects which have original or creative ideas achieving positive long-term impacts, community for projects that demonstrate partnerships with community and other stakeholders to enhance sustainability and learning outcomes in the broader community, culture, which is for projects that demonstrate embedded practices with whole-of-site integration, and that might include in policy, planning, delivery and management, and things that may also include things like continual improvement, procurement, staff and parent training, and really broad sustainability solutions. Previously, we've had awards for reduction in materials to landfill for sites that we've re-audited, and this is sort of included within the culture because it shows that the site is moving forward and reducing their materials. And we also have a Hall of Fame category for sites that show continued commitment and characteristics of all three. So if we've invited you today and you're an education site, that means that we're going to be acknowledging your hard work in some way. And for those of you who aren't with us, I will be holding up a tiny bin, which we would love for you to display proudly in your front office so that you can share your achievements and inspire others as well. And if you're actually here in person, Ian will be presenting you with one of those. So we begin with a Hall of Fame site, and I will let it speak for itself. Thank you.
Hello, my name's Tom Linnell, Sustainability Coordinator at Tenison Woods College in Mount Gambier, and I'm here to talk to you about how we've been on a journey to reduce our waste and engage our young people in some really interesting conversations about waste as a resource. We're a large Catholic college, 1,500 students, and in 2020 we commandeered a groundsman shed that was no longer being used and used it as a space to have some really deep conversations about waste, and we called this space Project Recology. So our goal through this was to be a zero waste school by 2025, a pretty ambitious target. We want to integrate circular economy principles into all subject areas to develop pathways to green jobs using an enterprise and entrepreneurship model. We want to strengthen student voice and leadership of a more sustainable future, and also develop a replicable program that other schools can take advantage of and mirror where they see fit. So for us, these are relatively dated documents, but these help to guide us in how we travel in this space of sustainability and give us some real direction in where we spend our time and focus. And waste is always a really significant part of that. I won't go into each of these different waste streams, but through the work and partnership with KESAB, we've identified some significant waste segregation and different waste types that we identify within a school, and most schools will probably feel very similar to this. But for us, our organics waste, the point of difference is we have a 100 kilo industrial composter. So we get, I put 100 kilos of food waste in there each day, and we take out about 40 kilos or 35 kilos of really A-grade soil fertilizer. So we use that in our gardens here. But the big talking point for us in this chat today is about how hard plastics, 2s, 4s and 5s, we've integrated into a range of different subject areas through the global precious plastics movement. So if you're not sure what that is, I really recommend you jump online. You'll see lots of different products here that have all been made by students and they exist within our school. They predominantly come from, plastics that our community donate. So the better way to dispose of our waste than through landfill. We sort it, we shred it, we press it, that might be a sheet or a mould or a pot plant or a range of different things, and then students go from there. So it's been a great journey for us to have been on, and one that we're continuing to look at ways to integrate into lots of different parts of our school. Definitely gets a lot of enthusiasm and excitement from our broader community, and it's great to see our students are really leading the way in this space. Thanks.
And congratulations to Tenison Woods for the Hall of Fame Innovation Award, the first of those. So that's for you, Tom, and the team. Congratulations. That's a site that's going to keep receiving awards. Our last awards were in 2018, and Tom received one for some of the other work then as well. So the clips that we're showing we will have up on the new WOW website, which will be launched in the next couple of weeks. So you'll be able to look at those as well if you want to share some of this stuff with other people. I would have loved to have welcomed a site in person today that's really recently become involved with Wipeout Waste and is doing some great things. But unfortunately, as is happening in a lot of schools at the moment, the teacher who was going to come and do their presentation is in isolation. So on your behalf, Michaela, I'm going to talk through your notes. So this is Charles Campbell College and their Wipeout Waste journey. In 2021, Charles Campbell contacted KESAB to discuss how Wipeout Waste could support their site in assessing and implementing some solutions and providing expert advice. The Charles Campbell College Environment Committee, try saying that quickly, were key drivers behind this initiative, ensuring that messages were related back to classes and the broader school community. So in June 2021, they booked 2 audits, one for their primary site and one for their high school campus, which were conducted a week apart. So with the primary school, they discovered that for about 300 students and staff, they were sending just over 500 litres a day to landfill. This is just over a litre per person per day, and it's a bit more than the state average, so they wanted to work on doing some things about that. With the high school, they found they were producing just under a litre per person per day. And the results, when we do these audits, the results are collated and put into a report that goes back to the school. WOW staff presented the audit results to a whole staff site meeting, which I believe is coming up. That might be some of the results. And our staff worked with their site leaders to work on what their Wipeout Waste journey might look like. So working out the goals, the deliverables, the dates for achieving some targets, and working with our new passport system. So there was a lot of things that happened that you can see up there on the slide. Student Environment Committee, which is really important for students owning what's happening on site. And they decided that it would be wise to focus on their R6, the primary side of the campus, and then move things up to the year 7 to 12s. So they were looking at lots of different things, as you can see, and reviewing and making amendments of what they were working with. So they received a passport certificate for engaging in the starting stage of the WOW journey, And they also got in touch with Rachel at Campbelltown Council, which is the council the site is in, and they provided organic caddies for classrooms and other resources and services to support the site's journey. So our Wipe Out Waste staff then presented back to the primary school staff to talk about their audit results and really tease out what sort of actions that they wanted to take. And these are some of those. So it was rolling out the caddies, establishing a 3-bin waste system, as you can see there, putting all the bins together so that you can make an easy choice, and having a workshop for staff. They got KESAB to come out and do some recycle relays to deepen the understanding of students about what goes into which bin, and promoting 10-cent containers. But one of the highlights was promoting nude food days in the school. And they held a nude food festival, which was a day for the whole school. They had Wipe Out Waste there. They also had staff from Campbelltown Council to support the learning that was being done around that. So that was a pretty amazing achievement, and they received, Michaela and the team, let me just double check that I'm reading the right little bit now that I'm switching bits of paper, an Innovation Award. So congratulations, Charles Campbell College. Now, fortunately, we've got another video coming up, so you don't have to listen to me forever. This is from an early years site, and we will let Brett, are you here? I don't think he's been able to come either. So I'll let him tell the story of all the things that are happening at their site.
Welcome to Lady George King. Nalukum Kiara Manina Pudni. Our playground, welcome. Here at Lady George, we've been wiping out waste at our Kindy for the last 6 years with huge success. We heavily involve our children and the community in their own efforts to continue to place less in the landfill and more into recycling and composting. At Lady George, we have 3 composting bins, 1 recycling bin, and 2 blue paper bins. The paper is sent off to be pulped and made into other paper recycled products. We partnered with TerraCycle to recycle our disposable masks, and we've also partnered with Replas to supply furniture made from our soft plastics. At Lady George, recycling for us isn't about sorting the rubbish into the right bin, it's about supporting products that are made from the recycling. So our paper towel, toilet paper and tissues are all 100% recycled. Our copying paper is 100% recycled. We have also partnered with Bin Shift, who supply us with these wonderful bins to help children understand where our rubbish can go. Our soft plastics in the purple bin is a huge hit, and the recycling we do with that, we send down to the recycling facilities, which is then made into the furniture that we buy. Every year we buy 1 piece of furniture from Replas to support that program. We also have a gloves recycling bin here for our cleaners. We've really enjoyed working with KESAB to support us, to support our community, to continue to wipe out waste. With 95% of our families doing nude food, it really helps with our plan to be as sustainable as we can with our rubbish. Thank you, KESAB, for all your support, and thank you for watching.
And congratulations to the Lady George Kindy for their great work. And we do have a couple of preschools represented today. because they are often sites that are doing some really amazing things, and it's also a really great space for families to get on board. Now, because Brett wasn't here, I also wanted to make mention, he mentioned one of their Replace benches, which are the recycled plastic ones. We have Jess here from Replace SA. Just wanted to let people know that over the last 6 years that they've been collecting things, they have rescued over 270,000 pieces of plastics from landfill, which is more than a 3 cubic metre skip. So that's a really amazing achievement. And because we've missed someone to actually give some awards to, I'm going to give out some awards, just going rogue. I'd like to present Ian with an award for sitting there patiently for the whole time, and I'd also like to present Replace SA with one. So Jess, would you like to come up here and Kerry can take a photo of some people? Yes.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm not sure what the mask protocols are. We should have pulled yours off. So that's a great partnership, and it's really excellent. One of the things that Lady George does that some sites do but not many is purchase products that are made from recycled materials, which is really closing that loop. Otherwise you're just sorting things. So the next award that I would like to mention is another remote online, hopefully. One which is that we have a lot of community partners that support us. Wendy mentioned that at the beginning with a long list, and some of those that are here today. But for Wipeout Waste, we also like to usually go to a local site of interest, whether it's a resource recovery station or a business that's involved with circular economy. And last year I was fortunate enough to visit Transmutation at Robe, and they gave a great session for the local teachers and students. They also provide a really fabulous information service for people travelling through the southeast and for locals as well. They're like the witch bin for the southeast, and last year they were put up for some tourism awards as well. So just to show you an example, and I'll put this out on display during the break, of the sort of things that they make. I'm holding a Lazy Susan in that picture, which was a bit heavy to bring today. But Brad and Narelle use the precious plastics model and have fairly recently created their circular economy business. But they make bowls and an expanding range of materials from bread bag tags, and Kerry told me I should read out how many. So this bowl, anyone want to have a guess how many bread tags are in this bowl? It's a lot. Thousands? Any advance? 500? 5,000? 5,000 in the Lazy Susans. Very good. Bit less in this. Pretty good, Sarah. 1,850 roughly. And they get dated by the years by date on the back. So they found some really old ones that people have been holding on to for a while. So let me see if I can find the award for Brad and Narelle for innovation and community to Transmutation at Robe. It's a really amazing place. If you're down the southeast, I highly recommend that you go along. I think, some of the people here today inspired me to get there, and I'd heard about it a long time ago. Also want to mention Robe Primary School, because while I was there last year I did an audit at that site, and they had reduced the amount of material going to landfill by 94% since their last audit. It's not unusual. We've probably got about a handful of sites that have reduced by 90% or more. Usually the average is around 65%. So that ongoing, continuing support is really important. So for their whole, well, not for their whole school, but per person, they are sending about, what did we work it out as, 0.06 litres per person per day, which is about that much, about a matchbox probably for each person. Works out to about 6 litres a day, so 3 milk cartons a day for their whole school, and they're doing an amazing job. So hopefully Natalie is online. I'd like to say thanks for all your good work. Everyone's involved. The cleaners take their food scraps home for their pigs. So, you know, everyone's really involved in understanding how valuable those resources are. The next award comes with a bit of a backstory, actually. So this is something a little bit different that we don't always get an opportunity to do. In 2019, I met with a uni student who had sent me a very polite email wanting to know a little bit more about how nude food fitted in with WOW. And this began a really great partnership with Adelaide University, the Department for Education's Right Bite team, and a heap of sites that had engaged with WOW to help be involved in a world-first lunchbox study exploring both packaging and nutrition. So each of those things has been done elsewhere, but not together. So that was 2019. After going through all the ethics things that you need to do, I've got a lot of respect for PhD students. You know, there were some other challenges. First, about getting into schools to take pictures of lunch boxes. First, there was COVID. Then there was a fruit fly outbreak, which meant that you couldn't go to a whole bunch of schools because they didn't have their normal food. Then there was COVID again. But despite all that, Neha managed to photograph 700 lunch boxes at a range of schools and preschools, design a coding system with about 60 different categories, and itemise each item in their lunchbox before and after eating to see how much was left over. And she'll soon be interviewing parents and students as part of her PhD. So this work's going to be really useful for informing some of the messaging for WOW and other agencies in this area. So she's hiding at the back of the room, even though we were trying to tell her to come back. Neha, we get to present a live one. Ian, would you like to present that? Thank you. Thank you. Great. It's a really lovely opportunity. You can see some of those pictures there. Neha brought some information about the study to Science Alive last year, so we handed out some studies and got some older students involved as well, which is really fantastic. So I'm really looking forward to probably the next couple of years as all the data gets put together. We've got another, so that was an award for community and innovation, just by the way. We've got another school video, and I'll let you enjoy this. Robin and the team at St Michael's College, who are... This is a culture award because the junior school, when we last audited back in 2019, had reduced material going to landfill by 70%. And that was purely through the introduction of a soft plastics collection and working to reduce the amount of material that was coming to school. But there's some amazing things happening across both their campuses, as you can see, and it's very exciting. So thank you for sharing that and making that video for us today. Next we have a live presentation from another fabulous site, one of the preschools, who was the first site actually to assist with the lunchbox study. We trialled the first taking of photos there. So I'd like to welcome Sarah up to the microphone. And she says she's going to speak really fast, so take notice. And on the recording, if it's too fast, I've discovered an amazing thing about YouTube this year, that you can speed up and slow down presentations, which is really handy if you're studying things and people are speaking very slowly.
If I have 5 minutes, it won't be.
We might be able to give you 5 minutes because, amazingly, we're pretty much on time. Is that okay, Sarah? Great.
Nā Māni. My name's Sarah Quaihampton and I'm from Eden Hills Kindergarten. Gana Mirna Nadlu, Garna Yata, Tampinti Nitalia. We acknowledge and respect Kaurna people and their land and welcome you to our presentation on sustainability. Our 4 core values are citizenship, sustainability, relationships and learning. Although sustainability has been one of our core values for the past 17 years, we're constantly learning and changing. I'll outline a few key features from our sustainability program. We're careful to ensure that the bins in the Kindy are colour-coded to match the curbside bins. As you would have heard from the song as you were arriving or once we were seated, our landfill bins have been named the sad bins. And the children have developed that artwork because those resources go to landfill, and it's something that we try not to do. We use the word resources rather than rubbish to help the children understand that these resources have value. The song's a few years old now, and I think it mentioned 4 bins. We actually have an 8-bin system now. Our purchasing policy is closely aligned to our values and philosophy too. We source locally from small business where possible. We consider what will happen to these items once we've finished with them, and we avoid plastic wherever possible. We endeavour to support community initiatives and Indigenous-led businesses where we can. So here are some examples of alternatives to plastic. These were all sourced very cheaply from op shops and from nature, and when we stop and think, we can make sustainable choices. So these are examples of some Indigenous mats that are made from recycled plastic. You'll see other examples of our own made plastics on the table in the foyer if you'd like to have a look in the break. So nude food is very strongly encouraged, and rather than dictating what children eat, we celebrate children's nude food choices in our learning journal. We gently guide their choices rather than dictating. We offer workshops for families, including wax wraps, and these are available for sale at the Kindy. That's self-explanatory. Next one. So these are some of our sustainable initiatives at our site. We have a compost tumbler, wicking beds where we grow vegetables, a worm farm, and a native healing country garden. We also have an orchard with many fruit trees. Next one. So we take a mathematical approach to yogurt choices. It's the bane of many people's lives in schools and centres that we have the little pots and pouches. And the children in this exercise, they estimate how many small pots can be filled from a 1 kilogram tub. And I've made some copies of this handout because there's a lot of information in there, and on the desk in the foyer you can take one if you'd like to look at it more closely. So they all record their estimate, and then we test the hypothesis, and we conduct a price comparison and discuss where the packaging will go once they've finished with their yoghurt. We find this is a really powerful motivator for the children and the parents. If you'd like to chat more about these initiatives in the break, I'm happy to do that. So here's some more alternatives to plastic that we use at our site. And our goals for this year are to eliminate tea bags. So we've moved to little tea infusers for our hot drinks. We're aiming to further reduce the packaging, things with packaging that come into the site. We're strategically working more strongly with First Nations people and products, as you'll see with the mats that we had, and books and other resources. So this is a 4-minute, very tip of the iceberg presentation. If you're interested in seeing and hearing more, let me know, and have a look at the display in the foyer. We also have a community recycling station at our site where people can come in and recycle batteries, glasses, ink cartridges, cans, bottles, and clothing for Vinnies. We were also part of the Tread Lightly campaign and collected 222 shoes last week for that campaign. We have a site environment management plan, which we haven't had a chance to talk about today. We're also part of the lunchbox audit last year, and we support and liaise with Transmutation in Robe, so we have a lot of their products in the site and visit when we can. So thank you for your time, and if you'd like copies of this or the purchasing policy that I mentioned, I've got copies of those just in the foyer as well. Thank you, Joe.
Checking that that's the right one. We would like to present you with an award for culture.
Fabulous, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you and your staff and families for all the great work that you do. We did an audit in 2019 when we went to take some lunchbox photos at Eden Hills Kindy, but for the 30 odd people on site there were 4 pieces of material in the sad bin, so it didn't really require quantification, to be honest. I think it was 0.001 litres per person per day, which is just amazing. So that's the goal, that's where we'd like everyone to be pretty much, and just some amazing examples. Thanks, Sarah. So our final Hall of Fame site is another site with bigger people that we've been working with for a long time. We're first going to show a student video from the site, which is quite interesting. Laura was saying something about how it's made, but it's an authentic video made by the students for the students, and there is some explanation of some of the things at the end of the video, which I really love. So I think this is a really great way to end. Then Laura's going to share a little bit more of the things that are happening at Golden Grove High School with us. Thanks.
Holy moly, that's so much garbage, mate.
Worse than my locker.
And that's saying something.
Where else am I gonna put it?
Well, you know, the bin system.
You mean the red bin?
No, there's a specific bin system for it over there.
This is cool.
Yeah, it's epic. Good. I really like it. First class.
So do I just throw it in there?
Can you rehome it? Can you rehome it? Can you, like, reuse it?
No.
This. Can't reuse it.
The kids will sniff them.
I would give it to Hannah if I were you. Like, Hannah, she's been wanting the Sharpie forever. Oh, what's this? Huh?
and put it in the exercise books and pads of paper. Please remove used pages and place in blue paper recycling bin. You gotta have a blank. See? Blank notepad. Need a blank.
I also have this.
Yeah, you know that this can go in the folder, right? But, you know, you need to remove your paper first. Hey, look at you go! You're an even bigger expert at it than me!
Yeah,
Wasn't that hard after all, hey?
sure.
Wasn't that bad, come on.
I have to throw stuff in a bin.
Yeah? Why? Get over it. Oh my god, a Sharpie!
Well done to Golden Grove High School and all their staff and students. They've had some really amazing teams for a long time that are across all parts of the site. And I'm going to hand over to Laura to tell us a little bit more. And I'm just going to make it for you.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. Get really close. So this might not be something many people think about when it comes to reducing waste at school, but if you can imagine the end of a semester and a year at a high school when students have been asked to empty their lockers, imagine how quickly and thoughtlessly many students make this happen. Imagine dozens of overflowing landfill bins as hundreds or thousands of students across each school empty their lockers. Some take everything home to sort and keep and reuse and rehome, yet every year many students just get brand new books, brand new pencil cases, brand new school bag, so why keep the old stuff, even if it's not being used? So after years, I've been at the school for 10 years, and for about 6 years I've been watching and trying to improve things. 660 litre paper recycling bins filled, but contaminated with school diaries, with the ring bounding, the metal ring bounding and the plastic covers, perfectly good library books, unused exercise books, plastic folders with the sleeves and paper inside it, even whole pencil cases, whole school bags, watching them fill and all be contaminated. Our environmental action team, our staff and students decided to focus on developing processes to clean up lockers sustainably for the last 2 years. So our environmental management unit club students created this fun and educational video to show home groups. And since then, it's gotten a little bit better and it's gotten a little bit worse, and it's certainly still something we're working on. And I don't know if you know, but if a paper recycling bin is contaminated, quite often it just all goes to landfill. So that's why we think it's really, really important. Thank you for letting us share that. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for sharing your resource recovery experience to inspire others.
Which you do all the time.
Thank you.
Very welcome.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much to everyone that was able to join us either in person or online today to share your learnings to inspire others, which is what it's really all about. Some people might know Laura also from the Refuse, Reduce, Reuse Adelaide Facebook page, which is where people go when they want to go a bit more hardcore than the Which Bin website that you'll find from Green Industries SA, so it's a bit more about reusing and what to do with your 50-year-old leather bag that you still really love, which is the next level of reusing and repairing. So thanks very much to everybody. I think Sarah's, do you want to say a couple of things about the break, which we're about to go to? So I really encourage you to have a chat to the people that have been presenting today. And the very last thing that I'll show you, because I think I saw him sneak in somewhere, didn't I, Daniel? I've taken off my glasses. One of the activities that KESAB does and loves doing with education sites is paper making. And seeing as we've mentioned precious plastics a few times, Daniel, just give us a wave, Daniel. I met Daniel a few years ago through a circular economy workshop. He was an early adopter of precious plastics in South Australia, and he now makes our beautiful paper making frames. Very nice to have these made out of plastic because they get in water a lot, and he's just in the process of making us some with recycled 3D printer filament that he collects from over 200 sites, maybe, and turns back into 3D printer filament. So it's an entire loop, which is pretty amazing. So thanks for popping across, seeing as you're at Mawson Lakes. Back to Sarah, thank you.
Thanks, Joe, and thanks everybody. Really amazing to see all those initiatives. So I hope you were a bit inspired by what you've seen. And thank you very much for Ian and Jess and for all our collaborators and partners. It's pretty awesome to see the impact that's happening in our schools in particular, because that's where it comes up the stream. Now we have a little bit of fun before we go into a break. So you would have seen on your tables that you've got some activity sheets. A bit old school, going back to primary school. And for the Zoom community, we also have a poll for you. So you'll see at the top of the activity sheets, they're colour-coded. So green for wipe out waste. So I encourage you to have a think, be a bit creative. And see how you go. Brilliant. Yep. Think creatively. So you'll see that it's separated into 3 sections. So there's one section for each of the 3 programs that we'll go into today. So just focus on the green section for now. We have talked about nude food a fair bit today, so hopefully you're feeling inspired and ready for that one. But I'm hoping you might be keen to share your ideas after we come back from the break. Now, we've just actually changed the break, because before we're going to have it out in the foyer, but to be COVID safe, we wanted to make sure that we don't have to send you table by table outside. So the amazing team here are actually bringing it all to you, which is awesome. So you don't even have to get up from your seat, but I would encourage you to go and speak to someone new, someone you might have seen their story and gone, oh, what's that? Or I'm interested in what you're doing. Because this is what today is all about. It's all about sharing and seeing what other people are doing and seeing if maybe you can implement something or test something, knowing that everything will have pros and cons that are different to each site. So I encourage you to nut out the good bits and the bad bits, because sometimes from the things that we call bad bits or the challenging bits, they're the ones that we can learn the most from, and it might be a challenge to one group or one situation, but it can be turned into an opportunity for another group or another situation. So I encourage you to have some really creative, thoughtful discussions. We're going to have our little break, so afternoon tea here. Hopefully the people joining online will have a virtual afternoon tea there. So I know there's a couple of watch parties going on, so hopefully you enjoy that. We are going to come back at 3 o'clock, where we're going to delve into Roadwatch, Adopt a Road, and then Sustainable Communities later on in the afternoon as well. So if you can stay with us, please do. If not, that's all right. Thank you very much for joining us for now. But yeah, thank you again very much to our speakers. And if you haven't already seen at the back of the room, we have a whole bunch of paraphernalia, memorabilia. Go down memory lane, Alex is modelling our posters there for you. We've had a bit of a warehouse clean out, and we have these things that we thought we don't want them going to waste. Someone can use these. So feel free to help yourself to memorabilia lane and ask us any questions if you do have any. Thank you. We'll go into a break and come back at 3 o'clock.
All right. Thank you everyone for coming back to us. Thank you to those that are joining us now on Zoom. Welcome. We are up to the Roadwatch program, so Roadwatch Adopt a Road at the moment. And I just want to round back before we start that. Over the break, we had a little activity. Did anyone actually fill out their activity for question 1 in the green section? I can see the poll online. So the question was, well actually I had to reword it for online, but we said select all the fruits and vegetables that make great bliss balls and nude food, and we learned all about nude food from our wonderful WOW endeavours. So, bananas, yes? Yes, that's probably, what do we say? Everyone online said bananas are good for it. What about sweet potato?
I encourage you to try it. Sweet potato bliss balls are beautiful and they set beautifully, so you don't even need the coconut oil in those. Apples. When you've got soft apples that are a bit sad in your fruit bowl, are they any good for bliss balls? If you slice them finely, put them in your sandwich press and grill them and then blend them, it's even better. You've also got avocados. Do they work? Oh, there's some questionable faces in the crowd. Avocado whipped blend, avocado mousse, avocado ice cream. You can do lots of things with avocado. And when you open your avocado, don't throw that seed away. I challenge you to have a look. Even if you just Google it, there's like 22 different ways you can use avocado seeds. When we do DIY workshops, we actually include them in a shampoo. I've been using that shampoo for ages. It's a really good one. It's really nourishing. You can boil it down and use it as a tincture because it's very good for your digestive system. And if you happen to boil it down and then do a heat stress test, then you actually have something that will be used as a dye. It's a really beautiful rose red colour. So don't throw those avocado seeds out. That's lots you can do with them. So thank you very much for completing the poll and the questionnaire. Done really well. Did anyone have any ideas about what sort of things they might make other than bliss balls with those items? No one wants to share? Okay, I probably shared too many. The other question was, which options are easy ways to make to avoid single-use packaging? So is buying in bulk a good option? Yep, cool. Most of our online audience got that one. Pre-packaged options? No. Excellent. So pre-packaged probably has the most amount of single-use plastic in it. And then using containers or reusing packages looks like it was the winner online. Is that what everyone chose? And yeah, perfect. Well done. That's excellent. All right. So we'll stop sharing that one now. So let's get into the Roadwatch program. So 2021 was Roadwatch's 25th anniversary. Pretty amazing milestone. Well done. It's been supported by the Department for Infrastructure and Transport since the very beginning. That's quite impressive. It's a very valuable partnership. It's a program that empowers volunteers to get out in their communities, and we're literally just cleaning up litter. It seems like a small thing, but it has major, major impacts. So volunteers can choose their own section of roadside to adopt, not the roadside. So you can choose your own section of arterial road, and then you can go and clean whenever you like, as long as it's in safe conditions. It's a really flexible and simple and easy program that has really big impacts. So that's keeping our roads safe. It's keeping it looking appealing, so that sets the tone for your community as well. So bearing in mind how that reflects on your town entrance, for example. It's obviously stopping pollution, litter, and that's helping conserve and maintain our natural environment, which is obviously one of the key reasons that we're all here today. But as well as that, often the groups get together and they're connecting over these things. So you're out with like-minded people, being physically active, so keeping healthy, and connecting with each other. So it's a really, really important initiative. And we've seen some amazing things happen over that time. So we've had thousands of volunteers involved in this program, obviously over quite a long time, and they contribute numerous hours. Like, I don't think we can even count it, because the only way we have to count it is from the reports that we receive. And we know a lot of you don't report, and that's for various reasons. We respect that. But we're only seeing the tip of the iceberg with these figures, which is pretty amazing. If this is only the tip, like, this has a really big impact. To celebrate, our volunteers should have received or will soon receive a commemorative badge. I know Jen and Wayne are wearing theirs at the moment. It's the most sustainable option that we could find. So, yep, Rhonda and the team have got some badges. So we just wanted to commemorate the 25th year, and it's a great way that you can then show your involvement in the program and maybe get some conversation going around what you're doing and why it matters. So we're trying to encourage that engagement. So wear it with pride and know that we give that to you with great appreciation. So in 2021, which we all know was a COVID year, there were some pretty massive impacts. There were 62 active groups still in 2021 who submitted 102 reports. Remember, not many reports. So 102 reports in a COVID year is pretty impressive, so well done. It showed that on average, a clean, for most of them being from about 2 to 5 kilometres, they're taking about 4 hours. So that's a pretty big commitment. Of the cleans that were reported, that's about 373 hours for 2021. That's, round of applause. Like, that's amazing. Absolutely amazing. The average weight of the litter is about 12 kilos, and I know it's very challenging when you're lugging around bags of litter to figure out how heavy it is, so it's great that you're able to report this, but there's a lot of stuff on those roadsides, so it's pretty impressive that you're doing this. And it's mainly single-use packaging, so you will see a lot of that, and you're probably going to see a lot of single-use masks now. We're having reports for that, and we've actually updated our reporting database now to include a section for single-use plastics, specifically part of the ban. So we all know in South Australia since last year we've banned single-use plastic cutlery, stirrers and straws, and in March, or 1st of March this year, it also included oxidogradable products and polystyrene food and beverage products. So I've got to update the database, but it's really great to see those reports coming through because we can sort of enact that. And I know it seems tedious reporting, but reporting is actually really, really useful to us because then we can aggregate and go, okay, these volunteers are in this council area. This seems to be a problem. We can go to the council and go, hey, are you aware of this issue? How can we work together to address these sorts of things? So it's really important and powerful information to feed back. So the collection of this litter is not only doing all those amazing things we talked about, but it's often benefiting the community groups because a lot of them are collecting bottles and cans, which are all we know are worth 10 cents. And then those funds are going back into community initiatives. So it's all part of that cycle of helping the community activate and get around each other. So your efforts can't be praised enough by KESAB and all our stakeholders, I'm sure. And we thank you for your amazing, amazing contribution. So as we mentioned, the Department for Infrastructure and Transport has been our partner for the duration of the program, and without their ongoing support, we wouldn't have the program that we have today. The partnership began in 1996, and since then the department has provided funding for all the equipment that our volunteers need, as well as signs that recognise various groups. I've put Wayne on the spot, and I just thought, seeing as he's here and he's going to be presenting awards, it'd be wonderful to just have a little snapshot of the department's ideas and perspectives on the program. Thank you, Wayne.
Yeah, thanks very much, Sarah, and Wendy as well for inviting both myself and Jen Slocum along today. I'm really thrilled, as is Jen, to be part of the ceremony today. I was actually involved with the department in the early days of Roadwatch. Had a lot to do with John Phillips and project officers within KESAB over the years as well, and sort of moved away from that direct involvement. But it's great to come back again 25 years down the track and actually see that the program's gone from strength to strength. Certainly this is a highly valued program in terms of the department. I think in terms of actually seeing the outcomes that are achieved in terms of making our roadsides and our communities far more attractive, free of litter, seeing that community groups are actually coming together to work together that actually makes all our lives better, both in terms of amenity but also eliminating this waste from the lands and our streams and waterways, and the highly negative impacts it does have to the environment as well. So I really wanted to reinforce my personal commitment, but the commitment of the organisation as well to continuing to support the program. It is great to see that it continues on, as I've said. Like, some things might start for a while and then die, but this is a program that continues on, and that's testament to both KESAB as an organisation, but all the volunteer groups. So I've got the privilege in a moment to present some awards, but I really want to acknowledge all the groups. Whilst we'll we'll just acknowledge a few individuals and groups today, but certainly it is just great to see the work that's being done and just that whole community spirit and the commitment, I think, to the great outcomes that are being achieved. So yeah, thanks again for allowing me to be part of today. Thank you.
Thank you, Wayne. I know I put you on the spot, but that was beautiful. So the department helped us with the signs as well. So you might have seen, well, I hope you've seen, along the roadsides, there's some beautiful blue signs that say Road Watch on them and KESAB, and they'll have the group's name that's responsible for that sign. So here's an older version, so I'm hoping that we've dug into the archives to get these beautiful pictures, so hopefully you'll recognise some of these people. Those signs are erected along those sections for sites who've committed to taking care of that section for at least 2 years. If you're a group and you want a sign and you're committed to that, let me know. We want to get you recognised, because this not only recognises your commitment and gets your group recognised, but it also recognises the program and gets people thinking, what is that? What can I do? How can I be involved? What is it about? Is this an issue? You know, it gets that ball rolling. So planting these seeds is a really important thing to do for our community. Another important group that's been involved in this program is Volunteering SA&NT. They're the peak body for volunteering and volunteer support services, leading the sector in South Australia and Northern Territory for over 39 years. And with us today is their CEO, Hamilton Calder, who we'd now like to invite to give a bit of an overview of the current state of volunteering in South Australia, because this is a sector that's taken a pretty big hit. Like during COVID, it's hard to volunteer. It's hard to see your friends, let alone get out and volunteer. So I just want to invite Hamilton to the stage to give us a bit of an overview. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Sarah, and thank you very much, Wendy and the team, for having me. It's a real pleasure to be here. And also I'd just like to acknowledge that we meet on the traditional lands. I also would like to acknowledge that we meet on the traditional lands of the Kaurna people. Volunteering is everywhere. 1 million people every year in South Australia volunteer, and it generates about $5 billion to the economy. And I think Road Watch is an amazing example of what can be done, particularly in times of COVID. The flexibility, the ease, and just getting out to community is so important, and it's something that we've missed across a lot of sectors. So a belated happy birthday and acknowledgement of the anniversary for last year, but it's something that I think that Road Watch, some of these benefits and these attributes of this program, we really will need to look and build into other volunteer programs. There's been so many sectors that have suffered so significantly in terms of just people's ability, in terms of the hours that are available, and also just in terms of that experience for volunteers. One of the greatest things about volunteer experience is to get out, to be social, to be a part of the community, and a lot of those things have changed. So programs like Road Watch and others where you can actually continue through these times are really important and something that we need to celebrate. As we look to the future for volunteering in South Australia and around the country, we're really seeing that it's a move away from more formal levels of volunteering to more informal and spontaneous volunteering. So traditionally, the stereotype of a volunteer might be to every Tuesday to work at a particular location with a particular group of people and doing a particular task. As COVID hit, those positions dropped, but what we did see excitedly is a younger cohort of people coming into volunteering that were looking more for spontaneous volunteering, that were looking for perhaps to volunteer not as regularly, and potentially even online. And so organisations, whilst they've been challenged, and I really want to do a big sing out to volunteer managers who've really had to do it tough over this period of managing COVID safety, managing health, just working through constantly changing regulations, understandably within this environment, and they've really done it tough. But what we've seen is, and I'm hesitant to use the word, but nimble and flexible organisations that have realised that there are still volunteers out there. It's just the way in which we access them, and we access them and provide opportunities, and if you like, increase the capacity and the resilience of organisations, and as we move out of COVID into whatever that looks like, that we make sure that we keep these volunteers on board as well, as we're finding perhaps the more traditional older volunteers come back on as well. So just a quick snapshot, our economy and our society is absolutely hooked on volunteering to survive. The figures don't even do it justice. That's the formal volunteering, but the informal volunteering. So it's a great opportunity, and I thank you for letting me be here today to be a part of this. It's amazing what Roadwatch is doing. There's a lot of lessons, as I said, for other organisations and other volunteering. But at Volunteering SA&NT, our role is to grow, support and celebrate volunteers. So being here today to celebrate this, we're really grateful. So thanks Sarah and thanks Wendy and the team for having me.
Beautiful, thank you Hamilton, really appreciate that. So there's so many people that have been involved in this program over a really long time, and some of you have been involved in multiple locations, multiple groups. It's very, very impressive. So we wanted to go down memory lane a little bit. So we dug into the archives and we've got some images here. Some of you might recognise some of these groups. So does anyone know who this is? This is the Muslim Association. They've got a couple of groups. They've got 3 sites. They've got the old ones and the young ones. And I think they're having a watch party today if they could get online. So there's a couple of people in their groups. And I think altogether there's like 40 odd people that are going out and volunteering pretty regularly. So it's quite impressive. And they've got all sorts of different backgrounds, and they come together and make it a bit of a community day. So they'll have a couple hours doing a bit of a clean, and then they'll get together for a celebration. So that's how I was talking about that connectivity, which is so important in this program. And at a time when connectivity is technically possible, but practically challenging, this is really, really important. So it's great to see that sort of stuff happening. Got a couple of other ones as well. This is them again. So you'll see the sign in the background there. So again, if you want some recognition and you want a sign, let me know. We'll get that sorted out for you. So they're permanent road signs. We've got a couple of clever people doing some innovative things and getting around in different modes as well. We've got a couple of groups that are quite regional and some within sort of metro-ish areas. And some are really, really large groups and some are really, really small groups. And like I said, the great thing about this program is its flexibility. So if Bob, Jane and Merv form a group and only Bob and Jane want to go out, go Bob and Jane, you go out. If it's a rainy day and you were going to go on that rainy day and you thought, that's not very safe, don't go out on the rainy day. Like that's the bonus of one of these. And as Hamilton was saying, we're becoming more flexible and agile, and people want things that they can just go and do when they feel like it. So I think that's one of the strong points of this program. Now I know there are some amazing volunteers here. Are there anyone who maybe wants to share a story that we haven't queued? No, that's all right. We've also had some schools and some kids involved, and a while ago we were teaming up with Clean Up Australia Day, but that's since changed. But yeah, over the years we've had a real diversity of groups coming through. We had a lot of scout groups initially joining us for the program as well, and that's a really great learning initiative for them too, and also makes you accountable, because you know, when you're going along a roadside and you're having to pick up the litter, you kind of get frustrated by doing that, so you're not going to do it yourself, are you? So that's a really good learning opportunity as well. There's definitely been some interesting ways to collecting litter as well. So a lot of the groups have different trolleys and different systems that they're using. Some go out with all sorts of devices, some just carry the bags. It's been really diverse. And we are also lucky enough to have some volunteers here today that are going to share their stories. So you would have seen that we had some trolleys that have used all sorts of things, and there's also pets involved. We've had some very famous dogs in particular out the back of the room there who have been involved in the program for a really long time. And these are some of the devices that people are using. So some of them are, you know, ready-made off the shelf. Some of them are quite customised. So there's some really great examples there. You know who you are. And there've been some really innovative processes for collecting it, and very organised processes as well. And because it's such a flexible program, you can do it how you need, as long as you're safe. That's great. We'll provide you with the equipment, but it gives you a bit of licence and agency to do it as it best suits you and your group and what you're planning to achieve. So to share the story of this particular group, we have a beautiful volunteer, Rhonda, who's going to come up and talk to us about their story. Rhonda is involved in the Rubbish Riders group. And they've formed a while ago. So Rhonda, I would love it if you would like to come up and share your story with us. Thank you.
Our group's called the Rubbish Riders, and we're a group of friends who cycle together regularly. Now, we come from two different cycling groups. One of them's called the Salisbury Social Rides, which is out this way, and there's also the Uncle Cycling Group, which is an offshoot from that. The reason we started doing this, there was a new road put in, as you all know, the Northern Connector motorway was built to the west of here, not far away, a few years ago, and there was a cycling path made alongside it and to join Port Adelaide to Gawler. And this path is called the Tapa Matinthi Yala Shared Use Path, which means in the Aboriginal Ghana language, it means the pathway to embrace today. So we all use it quite regularly, and cyclists, walkers and runners all use this path. A section of the track passes through the old salt pans area between Globe Derby Drive and the Salt Pan Junction at the Southern Interchange. And it's a beautiful, unique and historic landscape which I felt needed to be respected. And as it was rapidly filling up with rubbish after the completion of the adjacent road, I wanted to do something about it. So the section we've adopted is about 5 kilometres long, and we have to access it on bikes to get to it. So we meet at the start with our bikes and our equipment, and we space ourselves by cycling down the track out along the route to do the clean-up. But the council required we put all the rubbish at the beginning of the path where they could access it with a big truck. So we have a small bike trailer, and we'd pick up the rubbish and leave the bags along the track, and then Brian or Mike would load them up onto the bike trailer and cycle back to the start point to leave the rubbish for the council. We've now got 2 trailers and more offers as new volunteers join us. And on one occasion, with the council approval, we were able to take a ute down along the pathway, and that made it a lot easier to clean up that day with all the big excess pieces that don't fit into rubbish bags. Before we got a second trailer, and there was a picture of it here somewhere before, one of the men, Mike, found a big piece of black plastic and cleverly attached it to the back of his bike, and he was dragging it along behind the bike with the bags of rubbish on that, and that's a pretty heavy load to pull, and it was very hard work, but he did it. And the best piece of rubbish we've ever found was a $50 note. Someone was a new volunteer that day, was extremely excited. We're new to this. We only started in November 2020, and in the following 12 months we picked up 113 bags of rubbish, plus much more assorted large items that were just too big for bags. And our volunteers have increased over that time from started with 3 and now we've got 13. It's a much more pleasant experience to cycle through the picturesque area without rubbish spoiling it now. Unfortunately, and I didn't know this at the start, the beautiful salt area, with all its colours and reflections and history, is rapidly disappearing under tonnes of soil, with plans to make this area a new housing estate. But our pathway will always be there, and we'll still continue to clean it up. So we do what Sarah mentioned, we always go back and have a coffee afterwards and have a laugh and talk about what we've picked up, and a good rest, because sometimes it's hot and dusty and strenuous hot work. But I'm very happy to be involved with KESAB and to do a small part, we all are, a small part towards a better environment. And congratulations to all of us.
So we have some awards, and Rhonda, I don't want you to go away because we have a special one for you. So as you saw, you did an amazing job. No one would know that you are afraid of public speaking. So as you saw, their group has been very innovative in the way they're collecting materials. So we have a Innovation Award for you. Wayne, would you like to do the honours? Congratulations. Well done. Yep, and well done, Ryan. Thank you. Well done. Brilliant. So we've seen one example of a volunteer group. Another volunteer that we really want to acknowledge and from our deepest hearts thank is Gavin. Gavin Smith of the Flinders Rangers Volunteers now has been involved in multiple groups and done multiple things. So once upon a time, Roadwatch, you were cleaning graffiti, you were doing revenge work, you've done so many things and been involved in so many programs, and you always keep us up to date. So Gavin, come up the front. Thank you, Wayne. We have a special engagement award for you. It's for your communication. So I'll get you to go around this side. Yep, for a photo, that'd be wonderful. Congratulations, Gavin. There's a photo there for you. So Gavin keeps us up to date with all his stories and pictures and reports. And your work is really extensive and it spans so many years and you have such a big impact. I know sometimes it's very challenging, but you are making this world a better place, Gavin. Thank you.
Thanks very much. Thank you.
And the final award we have for a Roadwatch group is for dedication. So I don't know whether Fiona Bennett, did you make it today? She might not. There's so many people who couldn't come today that COVID's really kicking us, unfortunately. But Fiona, if you're online or watching this later on, we want to recognise that your dedication is absolutely phenomenal. Fiona contributes 30 hours every year to this program across various sites, and she reports every single one in great detail. It's amazing. So thank you, Fiona. It's really, really impressive. We have your virtual award here presented by Wayne. Thank you, Wayne. It's wonderful. Now, we hope you know that this is just a small selection of our volunteers who've received awards, and they're the ones that we know about because it's hard. You're going out and you're doing the thing, it's hard to have to report and send everything back. So we know there's a lot that aren't being reported, and we also know there's a lot that don't have the ability to communicate with us. So this is just recognising a few that we know about. There are many more who are doing really, really amazing work, and we really want to acknowledge you and say our deepest, deepest thanks. You're quietly achieving and your contributions are absolutely amazing. The program is nothing without volunteers. And our communities are much, much richer for having you. So thank you. So what's the time? Oh, we're running perfectly to time. We are about to go into a short break so that you can move your bodies a little bit, share some stories. But before we do, you've got another activity. So you will see in Roadwatch Yellow, there are some questions on your tables, and we have another poll for you as well. So, which item was the most commonly found by Roadwatch volunteers? So I mentioned that right at the beginning. I'm sure you won't forget it. And how long has KESAB been running the Roadwatch volunteer program? So have a think about those. Zoom audience, you can play along. We've got a 10-minute break. So we've got a bit of time. If you also have time, have a look at the back of the room. Like I said, we've got memorabilia lane, so help yourself to whatever you need. And if you have any questions, let us know. We'll leave you to it. Welcome back, everybody. Can I ask you to take your seats again? We're about to hit the road with sustainable communities. So, before we start on sustainable communities, we had a quiz. We had our Roadwatch poll, which I'm going to end now. So, we had some Roadwatch questions. Which items are the most commonly found Roadwatch volunteer items? So, anyone want to shout out what they thought? Most mask? Mask is definitely one. What type is the mask? Disposable. Yeah, single use, right? Yeah, single use packaging is the most commonly reported item. And how long has KESAB been running the Roadwatch program? Yeah, 25 years in 2021. Thank you. Brilliant. All right, so we are going to delve into sustainable communities. Also, quite a long-running program. You might have heard about it as Tidy Towns. It was started in 1978 as an environmentally linked beautification program. It was initially built on litter and that sort of stuff, but now it encompasses all these things. So it's much broader about sustainability in general and environmental action specifically. So there are now 8 categories in the Sustainable Communities program, and this is basically an awards program, so it's recognising the things that are happening, and the idea is to share these things so that people can look at things and go, oh, that's a great example, we can do this, this applies here. So the whole idea is this ripple effect of helping our communities by sharing. So the 8 categories that we consider in the Sustainable Communities program are appearance, amenities and facilities, and that's quite broad. Community action and partnerships. Now that's a really important one for that connectivity that we're saying is so vital in getting these things off the ground. Environmental sustainability and education. There's no point in doing it if we can't communicate it and share it. Health and wellbeing is a big one, and we actually noticed in this year's participants in the program, health and wellbeing was a really big item, probably because what we've been going through with all the COVID stuff recently. Heritage and culture. And that can be very diverse. Leadership and youth activities, so empowering our younger generations to get engaged with this sort of stuff as well, because often community initiatives are driven by local volunteers, and often those volunteers are the ones that have the time, which means majority of them are retired. So it's really important to get our younger communities engaged as well. Natural environment management, so that again is very, very big and all-encompassing, and resource recovery, waste management, litter prevention and enforcement, which obviously KESAB is very keen on looking at. So the awards provide a platform to celebrate achievements in all of these areas, or some of them. So you can apply for whichever category you like, and it's all weighted. And we want to recognise participants and their initiatives, but also share those with everybody else. And this public recognition fosters community pride within your own communities. It builds relationships and it helps motivate ongoing engagement as well. All of this obviously has positive health and wellbeing impacts, as well as the environmental outcomes that we've set to achieve. It also often helps with tourism and can bring new residents to area. So it has really big ripple effects. It's a big part of the program is showcasing these initiatives in things like what we're doing today with the awards. But we want to generally showcase things as openly as possible. So when you share your stories, I encourage you to share them warts and all, because those bits that were really challenging, like I was saying before, are the things that we can learn the most from. By providing comprehensive information, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Others can avoid the mistakes that you might have come across or adapt initiatives to suit them better. And many positive stories have shaped this landscape over time. So you'll see some of the things that we've taken in today. It has a long history, and I've only been looking after this program for a very short time, so we have Barb here with us today. Barb has been part of the KESAB board for quite a while, and she's had some really good insights over time. So I'd like to invite you, Barb, to come up and give us a bit of an insight as to what you have seen over the years with this program.
Thanks, Sarah and Wendy, for asking me to do this. You are actually going to hear quite a lot of what Sarah's just said, but anyway, we'll go there a bit later. On behalf of the Chair, Ros de Garris, and fellow board members, it is a great honour to welcome both our distinguished guests, our finalists, and also, most importantly, our friends, because that's what KESAB's about. It's even though Sarah says it is a long time, when I look around the board, there's a lot more that have been there for a lot longer, so for that, I'm very grateful. Having said that, I am getting to the other end of the time frames, but everybody is a friend, whether it be the board members, the staff, people we interact with, wherever we go. The one thing you say is that you're part of KESAB and you have a friendly conversation. It's instant. It is one of the most it is seriously one of the most special places to be involved in organisations. But I'd like to begin by acknowledging the original custodians of the land we're meeting on, whether it be here in person or virtually, because this is where it's all started. KESAB, 50 plus years ago, saw that we were actually doing something we shouldn't have been doing to our environment. We were mucking it up. We were leaving a lot of rubbish around, and here we are 52 years later now, and expanded into a whole lot of other areas. When I was asked to present or to come today to talk about KESAB and Sustainable Communities Award, it was something that I saw as a huge honour. And the reason I saw it as a huge honour was because Tidy Towns Sustainable Communities would have to be the longest standing regional South Australian town award that there is. And one of the things in my day job, working for Primary Industries, we talk about all the different awards, but the one that keeps coming up is actually Sustainable Communities, even though a few of us still do call it Tidy Towns. So it is seriously a prestigious award, and one that is really important to South Australia. So with that, KESAB is synonymous with Tidy Towns, and it does go back to 78, and the national awards were only introduced in 1990, so it shows that South Australia also was once again part of leading the way. Unfortunately, WA did beat us by a couple of years, but we'll forget that, which is all okay. The year I joined KESAB as a board member, Mundalla won the state title. It then went on to win one of the national categories. And growing up in region, I thought, where is Mundalla? Who is Mundalla? I had no idea. I'd never heard of them. That year, Mundalla went from being a very small community where only people in their regions or people who drove through really understood what Mundalla was, to having TV series with them involved. They went on to win a national category. And for the next 2 or 3 years, every time you talked about KESAB, people talked about Mundalla. It was really interesting to come in and watch and see how it changed. The very next year, Barmera won the KESAB Sustainable Communities Award, which made me very happy, being a Riverlander, and a little bit envious because Renmark has never won the KESAB Award. However, what I did do to circumvent that was move to Waikerie, which actually has won the KESAB Award, so it's all good. But Barmera won the state award and then went on to win the national award. That, once again, changed the discussion in the town. They then went on to host the next national awards, which then really, really annoyed Berry, if you know the Riverland at all. Seriously annoyed them. How did Barmera win when we are the mother town? Well, Barmera won it because they were a community. They got together, they worked out what they wanted to do. They did some amazing things on the shores of the lake. They created a playground that's second to none in the region. They actually came together. The main street still, unfortunately, is suffering, but that foreshore with the Anzac commemorative element there now. They've got the playground, there's some beautiful parking spots, and then the club coming on board and revamping. It is just amazing. So a little award from a very long-standing organisation can change the way a community feels. So to win a KESAB award is something our regional communities wear as a badge of honour. I'm a proud regional person, and every day as I drive around, I see that badge. And just as a matter of thought, how many towns do you drive through and see the sign still proudly highlighting a commendation or a win last century? They're there, they're everywhere. They're slightly faded, they're showing signs of rust on the edges, but they are always proudly at the entrance of the town. The signs may appear dated, but believe me, that the town pride in that award is not outdated. Those signs never come down. It blows me away. I actually just did I was sitting there thinking, Lameroo was when I noticed that the signs are really faded and rusty. And the Lameroo one has been moved to one of the main buildings where the toilet block is. I don't know if anyone goes through Lameroo regularly like I do. And I saw it and I thought, I'll just find out when Lamoureux won. They didn't actually win, that's just a commendation. And it's still been moved to where everyone sees it. So it's seriously really important. So what do we do? What does KESAB Sustainable Communities Award represent in a nutshell? And these are Sarah's words, not mine. So the local people coming together to create innovation and long-lasting practices, experience in the communities they love, to create even better places to live, work and play. It's about protecting, conserving, managing and improving South Australia for all to live. And that's what each and every winner does every time they come together to actually decide to apply. Because when they decide to apply, they decide to bring their town together. They decide to highlight every element of their town, not just their little piece. And that is the bit that makes the KESAB Sustainable Communities Awards so unique. The awards are a catalyst for community innovation, and they are. They encourage friendly competition. Berry Barmera, that was the best. They're an opportunity for recognition, and they are also the catalyst for an expanded understanding in other areas. Mandala, really? But that was just insane the way Mandala grew with that experience. This year's entries are no exception, even if in some of the most challenging times, our communities still found a way to come together. And I'd just like to also take, sorry, I know I'm asking for a bit of indulgence, but to reflect on the passion and the resilience of our regional communities. Because every regional community over the last 2 years has gone through at least 2 of the following things, which is pretty hard to imagine when you think of drought, flood, fire, hail, fruit fly, and now Japanese encephalitis. And that's without COVID. And yet our communities still come together in region to put on a show for us to use. So every day I see the energy, the people in their communities. I also see the reaction on visitors' faces when they pull up and see a beautiful main street, an amazing amenity block. They see a playground, silo art, scenery. I don't know if anyone's gone down to the riverfront in Waikerie lately, but that is just seriously insane. This is what has supported our local communities to actually bounce back. It's created a sense of pride. We've had intrastate people come and see our communities, and they've actually demonstrated how joyful it's been to visit, places that they would not have thought of going to. So with that, I am privileged to work and live in regional South Australia, and even more to be a very small part of the KESAB community. And with that, thank you everybody for coming, for celebrating, and also thank you to everybody who enters and brings your community together.
Thank you, Barb. That was beautiful. So we're going to get in the cool stuff now and see what's been happening in our community. So I decided, to be fair, we'll go in alpha order, and we'll start with the Copper Coast. So Copper Coast Council, located in the Yorke Peninsula, as we know, 155 kilometres northwest of Adelaide. And it's a strong farming and fishing community. Also, obviously, has world-renowned copper mining heritage. It's a popular tourist destination and has a residential population of 15,000, give or take. Their submission included initiatives in all 8 categories, which is pretty impressive. So they had the Kadina Ramuta Cemetery wall restoration, which is pretty cool because it used the developed and developed local skills and included reclaimed stone, which is pretty cool. So this was a really well thought out project. So this ticked so many boxes. Then they had the new synthetic pitch at the hockey club, which allowed for all season utilisation. So you're keeping your community active and healthy all year round, and it's opening up to a broader and diverse group. And as we saw before, they also had some dog parks, which the community was heavily engaged in. We had B&B hotels for bees. So that's pretty cool. They sort of got made it famous with Sonia Hagendorfer in Adelaide, and it's been rolled out to lots of different communities. And it's really important for bringing people in and educating them, and that included workshops and lots of organisations to support local biodiversity and community education. They also hosted the Masters Games. Has anyone been to the Masters Games? Yeah, yes! It's a pretty massive event, actually. It's a huge undertaking. I know that a lot of volunteers were involved in this, so that was bringing people together. And it encouraged healthy communities and connectivity, but also happened to contribute $675,000 to the local community. So well done. The Moonta Town Hall restoration was also another massive project. It's hard looking after these heritage buildings, and it included long-term forethought and even a virtual tour, which is pretty inclusive. Well done. Then there's the North Beach Sand Drift Management Plan to better manage the coastlines in a pretty rapidly changing environment. So to be thinking about these things now is really, really important. So this shows a commitment to resilience over time as well. And one of our favourites, the FOGO Waste Initiative. So that's collecting services for residents and businesses, which is pretty cool. And I know there's a lot happening in this space, so that's pretty amazing. So congratulations to everyone involved in those initiatives, and thank you for the case study. Well done. So then we're on to the District Council of Karoonda East Murray, which is located 150 kilometres east of Adelaide in the heart of the Murray Mallee. So the community's pretty small in comparison. Actually, it's kind of like my hometown. It's over 1,000 people, and it's part of the Murray River, Lakes and Coorong region, and hosts 2 conservation parks, which is pretty amazing for such a small space, with lots of unique flora and fauna. The town was established as a railway town, and the surrounding region is now known for broadacre cereal cropping and wool production. It prides itself on its amenity, as well as aged care services. They have a hospital, country fire service, SA's first area school, and a childcare centre, which is pretty impressive for a population that size, actually. You can't say my hometown has all those things. So they had 2 major projects. They had the Karoonda Main Street Beautification Project. So this is this one that you can see on the screen. And that's setting the tone for the town. So we're talking about Road Watch setting the tone for your town to make sure it's clean, but this is the aesthetics around it as well. And it was really great because the community was really, really engaged in this. This is all climate resilient planting, specially selected so that it's low maintenance, but also provides habitat and the aesthetics. And the community members were trained by the council how to do all this, so how to plant it so it would successfully survive. So that was really cool engagement there. And they've already seen increased fauna activity in the area as a result. So they've had native birds and bees and more insects thanks to all this beautiful stuff. They also had the Karoonda Recreation Trail. So that now connects the housing developments to the CBD, because often that's a challenging space. And that connection means that they have a healthy corridor that they can utilise. So it's a running track, it's a cycling track, it's a safe space for kids to get to different places as well. So that's really important for connecting places. But that connectivity was incorporated in that trail because they had community groups, including the CWA, Community Daycare Centre, Mallee Kids Childcare Centre, Year 3-4 primary school students and Mallee Business Association members. So it's pretty cool to see so many groups engaged. So congratulations to the District Council of Karoonda. So then we have Kimba. Kimba's located 465 kilometres northwest of Adelaide in the Eyre Peninsula, and it's the gateway to the Gawler region. Ranges. Again, the population is pretty small, around 1,000, and the main industry is farming, and particularly really innovative farming in that area. Regional developments embraced collaboration with the community solar station, solar on public infrastructure, recycling joint agreements, and primary industry innovation projects. Their submissions were also to the 8 categories. So they have this site here, which is actually a free recreation reserve and camping site. How many camping sites do you see that are free that are like that? It's very impressive. So it's been open to self-contained camping since 2013. They have a coin-operated shower and an RV dump point. So it's really supporting tourism in the town, which is pretty impressive. They've made a new amenity block and repurposed some of the buildings so that they have a camp kitchen, and they've replanted things with drought-tolerant species as well, being mindful of that. But those species are watered with local and grey water, which is pretty cool because you don't often see that in public spaces. It's reduced roadside camping, which was a significant challenge for them, but it's also an opportunity because it's helping with tourism. They have a building community and business capacity project. So effectively, they now have an economic development officer who is looking after the economic, social and environmental sustainability of the town. So they're focusing on nature-based experiences for social, physical and mental health in the region. So that's really important to have someone dedicated to that role, considering it's a very small community. Their agricultural sector is really important, so they have a lot of education, and like I was saying before, they're doing some really innovative things in their ag sector, and they're upskilling the youth when they're doing that. So they're known for their R&D. They monitor weather data and they use soil moisture probes to inform when they're irrigating so that they're really, really efficient, which is pretty amazing because food security you wouldn't think is a challenge in Australia, but it really is, and that's a big, big one. That also supports fire management and spray schedules, so it's well communicated information that's quite collaborative. They also support innovative ideas such as growing ancient grains, which again is not that common in Australia, especially South Australia, and regenerative landscapes, which is pretty cool. And obviously that restores biodiversity and soil health, which in turn is human health. They've got an Our Town Health and Wellbeing project. So that's been informed by Faye Fuller's research into rural mental health, and that's not one that's commonly talked about, and it's really, really important. So Our Town Kimba is looking into that. They've got community events, they've got workshops, and now they have a dedicated position for someone working in that space. Then they have the Historic Museum. So they've upgraded that and now offers really hands-on experiences. They have the youth leadership, which is mainly in the agricultural sector. So you'll see the youth leaders, they'll see some of the awards there. There we go. These guys here, pretty young group, and they're looking at triple bottom line sustainable agriculture, which is pretty cool for young people to be engaged in this sort of stuff. Then we had the Ruro Dam stormwater catchment, which is focused on water security for the area, because obviously it's quite a drought-ridden area. Cool thing, they used old tyres as structural wall foundations as well, but it's quite a different way of looking into it. And then we had our waste and recycling depot, which has seen really improved resource management over time. And they're looking at recycling even in their public spaces, which is not that common as well. So congratulations to Kimba. And last but not least, in alpha order, we have the rural city of Murray Bridge. So that's pretty close, it's 75 kilometres east and has a growing population of 23,000 roughly. There's a lot of manufacturing, retail and trade and social health are pretty big in the area. Their submission was for all categories and their Make It Yours campaign featured really, really heavily. It's a campaign designed to highlight the city's strengths and future developments. So they're trying to sort of showcase this is what we are in Murray Bridge effectively. And we've got a video here which summarises it way better than I ever could.
By continuing to focus on our 4 key themes of valued environment, great people and lifestyle, dynamic economy and connected communities, we aim to develop a dynamic river city which retains its country charm. These next 4 years will see Council extending its investment into our regional town centres, so we have an integrated and common culture throughout. We value our built and natural environment and have plans to enliven our community spaces, as well as promoting, preserving and enhancing the natural environment. Sturt Reserve in particular will see significant change to better reflect its status as our river focal point. We want our community to remain inclusive and welcoming of people of all ages and backgrounds. We will continue investing in services and infrastructure to support the elderly. Focusing on our young people, we will develop a robust sporting network across our integrated communities and expand access and usability of our recreation trails. We will prioritise development of economic infrastructure to ensure we have a learning, earning community, and will continue to support events and tourism to attract visitors and investment. We will ensure investors and potential new residents know about and are attracted by our region's amazing and diverse investment and lifestyle benefits. That our visitor offerings increase tourism in the region, with visitors staying longer and promoting the area to others as a destination of choice. That existing and emerging businesses grow and flourish with the support they need to prosper. That infrastructure priorities build our local economy and encourages paddock to plate initiatives and supports the region to be Adelaide's food bowl. Our region has wonderful, active citizens and community members who embody our proud community. A key focus will be on assisting our community members to embrace and engage in the digital world.
Murray Bridge, make it yours.
So all of these initiatives were assessed against program criteria, which was pretty rigorous, I have to say. And we'd like to thank the District of Karoonda, East Murray, and the rural city of Murray Bridge for sharing your fantastic initiatives. I don't know whether anyone is here from either of those to receive your certificates. No? We'll send you certificates. Congratulations. Now, after much deliberation, which was very challenging, but we stand by our criteria, we narrowed it down to 2 finalists, which was pretty tricky. So those finalists were obviously the Copper Coast and Kimba, and our judges did on-site visits. So they went and they spoke to the people and they saw all the stuff and did all the things. And even then, it was really tricky to select who would win. It was down to a couple of points in the end. And the judges were saying that they were just so impressed at the calibre of entries. It was really amazing. So congratulations to you both. Like I said, it was a really tight call. So the finalists we'd like to announce and congratulate this year is the Copper Coast. Congratulations. Brilliant. And then we also want to acknowledge our other finalist, Kimba. So Kimba, we have an award for you as well. It's not a trophy, it's actually something for your community. So is there anyone here from Kimba? Congratulations. It looks a lot smaller. But you actually have a recycled bench for your entire community.
Beautiful.
Fantastic. Congratulations. And you're welcome to say a few words as well if you'd like.
Why not? Thank you. I'd firstly like to congratulate Copper Coast. Fantastic council, fantastic region. Well done, well deserved, terrific winners. So really congratulations, and I hope your community appreciates all the work you put in for them. I really want to thank KESAB. It's just an honour and a privilege to be able to take part in awards like this. And as you said before, I don't think you realise all that's happening in your communities until you put it on paper. And you have the judges come out and you can share those experiences and projects with the wider state and the wider community as well. So having your community involved in that, I think, is a really proud moment. And you get your youth leaders and the different organisations to come up and share their experiences and really promotes community pride. Now, rural Australia in general has had a pretty tough 10 years, to be honest. You know, we've suffered droughts and, would you believe, floods. At the end of January of all months in our community. But the resilience is just incredible. And our communities are standing up and we're seeing a real change now. And there's a real optimism in rural communities, and awards like this help us to foster that feeling and make us all proud. So thank you to KESAB, thanks for kind words from Barb, Sarah, Wendy, everyone, and to all winners today. They've all been fantastic and promote us to provide better communities for everyone. So thank you.
But one of the things that Kimba has actually done is been instrumental in actually making sure that the EP were able to receive the amount of Commonwealth and state support they needed to actually fix the roads and everything else that happened during the floods in January. And Kimba was actually the hardest hit geographical area in South Australia at that point in time. So I think that what I would also like to say is that they've been very humble today in the way that they've come up, because at the end of the day, they have had the seesaw of a high winging Ag Town of the Year, and then as low as you can go where everything gets washed away. And they had the single most kilometres of road lost to anyone else in the state. So, you know, with that, I would like to say thank you for everything you've done for your community as well, because it has definitely been a little bit of a roller coaster for you. So thank you. That's all, sorry.
All right, well done. Congratulations to everybody involved in that program. It's really amazing to go through all that. So we have one final poll. If you want to do your activity, we can put the poll online as well, just before we invite Wendy back. And I'm going off script, and I know we're running short on time, but while we're all here, I just want to acknowledge someone that I didn't get to acknowledge before. Mama Wow has been helping everyone at KESAB for a really long time. And I just wanted to acknowledge the fact publicly that she has empowered so many people, and I know so many people here have been so inspired by Mama Wow. So I just wanted to say a special thanks while you're doing your activity, and a little token of my appreciation.
Well, I'm
virtual hugs.
The Mama Wow reference is a little bit hilarious, but it reminds me that I did have a slide earlier. That's one of our new casuals, likes to call me Mama Wow, and she's Baby Wow. But I did have a slide with all the people in our team, because it's a huge team that works across all the different segments of KESAB and also Wipeout Waste. So there's Erin, who's Baby Wow, Sarah, Eloise, Kerry, who are here today, Brian. We've got some casual staff that support us as well, who've just started, Tom and Jackson and Wendy Sutton, not this Wendy, and Grace, and who else have I forgotten? And a lot of also excellent, very people over many, many years that have kept things ticking along and been very passionate and driven. So thank you very much. It's a bit exciting. Does that mean I'm retiring?
No, you're not allowed.
The volume. All right, it's been a long, lovely afternoon, and I just am really up here to wrap things up. Huge congratulations to all the award winners across all of the awards today. So starting with the WOW ones first up, through Roadwatch and through Sustainable Communities, Tidy Towns. Congratulations to everybody. Thank you to everybody for coming along. It's really inspiring to see this, and we can all get quite bogged down in our day-to-day work and the the day-to-day COVID or pressures or whatever it is, and it's great to be reminded, like Barb was saying, of just what KESAB really is about, of what community is about, of why we do the work we do and why it's so easy to see the passion that's involved in the KESAB team as they go out tirelessly day to day delivering what they deliver. And I'm very proud to be a part of it and very proud of the team. Thank you to all of the KESAB team who put these awards together. It's been a mammoth effort and I've been the laziest one of all of them, but probably the least lazy of all of them has been Sarah. So thank you very much, Sarah. I have a little gift for you as well. Come up here. It's just a little token. I know Sarah's going on holidays today. She's just going to run out of this door and not look back for a couple of weeks. So it's something, it's not a bunch of flowers or anything that I'd have to compost because they wouldn't last. So it's something else when you open it. Thank you very much. You went above and beyond. So thank you very much. Thank you again to all of our program partners, the sponsors who came along, the partners who support us all the time. It's no small thing. We look forward to working with all of you, the communities, local government, volunteers, the government departments that support us for many, many more years to come. I think it was Barb who said we're about 50, but in fact I did the maths and we're more like 54. So the next giant milestone will be 60, and we hope that we will be still doing the right thing and keeping South Australia beautiful for another 50 years. I won't be there, but thank you anyway.